Today, as we speak, it is 36 years since the tragedy, and yet the crime of enforced disappearances have continued. An overwhelming majority of the executed persons were members and sympathizers of PMOI, although hundreds of individuals belonging to leftist political groups and organizations were also forcibly disappeared and executed. There is considerable evidence that mass killings, torture, and other inhumane acts against members of the PMOI were conducted with genocidal intent. In addition to the mass murder, summary, arbitrary, and extrajudicial executions, as well as enforced disappearances of thousands of political prisoners, evidence received confirms that political prisoners who were executed and those who survived the massacre suffered from the most severe forms of physical and mental torture and other cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. These constitute crimes against humanity, and as mentioned, the crime against humanity of enforced disappearances remains a continuing crime until the fate of the disappeared persons and the facts remain uncleared. The victims, thousands of them, were buried in secret and unmarked individual and mass graves across Iran. And the perpetrators to the great tragedy of all of us have thus far evaded accountability and justice. What I have called the atrocity crimes, in particular the 1988 massacre, represent the commission of the worst and the most egregious human rights abuses of our living memory, whereby high-ranking state officials connived, conspired, and actively engaged to plan, order, and commit crimes against humanity and genocide against nationals of their own state. Distinguished participants and colleagues, in completing my report, which you have seen and was published last month, amongst the many challenges that were presented to me was this central question as to why I'm looking back at what many people or many critics said, apparently historic crimes. But as I studied the subject, and as my study has confirmed, these are not historic crimes, but they are continuing crimes within international law. I will conclude by this point, that we must not engage with a regime whose leaders have committed atrocity crimes. I will just repeat that. We must not engage with a regime whose leaders have committed atrocity crimes. The international community must take concrete steps to end the continuing impunity within Iran, ensuring accountability, truth, justice, reparations, and remedies. I thank you.